What are 7 horrible lies that the narcissist is going to tell about you to their new supply? Number 1 is they took all my money and left me homeless. Boo hoo. Yep, that's what they're going to say. They stole all my money. And that's why I don't have any. They left me homeless and penniless. They love to play the victim for their new supply. And of course, that's why they're going to get their new supply to pay for everything for them. And, the old expression, nobody falls in love faster than a narcissist who needs a place to live. So they're going to get their new supply to pay for everything for them, move into their new supplies place. And the new supply is going to feel so sorry for them. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you had to go through all of that. Yes, I know. They took all my money, left me homeless and penniless. And they'll get into all this agreement about how horrible you were because you took everything from them. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, oh my goodness, we hadn't had sex in forever because, they repulsed me. They're going to make it seem like sex hadn't been a thing in forever. And even if it's totally not true, they'll make it seem like there hadn't been a physical relationship in a really, really long time. They just make up lies about whatever your relationship was to make it seem like it was way worse than it actually was, because they want to make it seem like they are such a victim. They want their new source of supply to feel sorry for them and gang up on you, because then, of course, if there are ongoing issues, especially with the children, if there are children involved, they want their new source of supply to help turn the children against you, to get involved. I can tell you as an attorney, then the new sources of supply starts writing all the messages in our family wizard, starts getting involved, starts writing all the messages to the attorneys as well. It gets super, super messy, really, really annoying. I can tell you that, that's for sure. Number 3 is, I started to allude to this, they turned my children against me. So now what happens is, if the children are against this person, they're going to blame it on you. They're going to say that you are the one that alienated the children. You're the one that caused the problems with the children, that the reason why the children don't like this other person is because you caused it. It had nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with the fact that they may be a bad person, or maybe they were a bad parent, or maybe they weren't good to you. And the kids saw that. It had all to do with the fact that you turned the children against them. All right. That's the next one. The next one is that I was never in love with him or her. And, this can be especially painful for you to hear. And let me just tell you, don't take that personally, because the narcissist never could love you anyway. And I have a video on why the narcissist hates you. And I would definitely watch that video, because the narcissist doesn't have the capacity to love anyone, including themselves. They hate everybody. So definitely check out that video, and don't take anything personally that the narcissist is saying about you, about them, about any of this. But this one can be especially painful to hear. So just take it with a grain of salt when this might come back to you. And by the way, if you've heard any of these so far, give me a totally in the comments, because you probably have. I'm sure you probably have. So give me a totally in the comments so far. The next one is, I wanted to commit suicide every day when I was with him or her. I mean, they get so dramatic. They thrive on this drama, so they'll say things like that. Oh my God, I was like in such a depression every day when I was with him or her. I wanted to commit suicide. I couldn't wait to escape when I was with him or her. Please. I mean, like they act like every day was like in prison when they were with you. That's another one. Another one was they'll make it sound like you were so jealous or possessive, because they want to make it sound like you were so in love with him or her, that you were clawing all over him or her all the time, and that you just couldn't live without this person, but they couldn't stand you. So you were super jealous and possessive. They never loved you. They were repulsed by you. You took all their money. They were victimized by you. They have this huge narrative about how jealous and possessive and in love with you, but yet, they were completely repulsed by you. So that's the next one. And then the last one is that you told lies about them to everyone. So whatever the narrative is that's going around about them, about how horrible they were, whether it was they were abusive or a horrible parent or whatever it is, all of it is a bunch of lies that you spread. It has nothing to do with the truth. Maybe it was that they didn't pay child support, or that they were a terrible provider, or whatever it is that you might have said, they're alcoholic, or all of it was a bunch of lies that you spread. It had nothing to do with reality. You caused it. They had no culpability, no responsibility in any of that. They were perfect. They were a perfect wife, perfect husband, perfect mother, father, whatever it was. You were just horrible. They have no idea why you were the way you were, because, obviously you were crazy or delusional and just caused all of this problem all on your own. Okay, so the first thing I want you to know is that they all love bomb. Okay, so what this means is that they're lying to you right from the beginning, whether it's in a romantic relationship or a business relationship or whatever kind of a relationship. They want you to think that they're amazing or perfect right from the beginning. And I actually was in a business relationship with a narcissist, so I saw this myself, actually. And so they want you to think they're charming and incredible right from the get-go. So they'll say things like, oh my God, where have you been all my life? I can't believe how perfect we are for each other. And we're made for each other. We just align so perfectly in our beliefs. So, those are the kinds of things that they'll tell right from the beginning. We're soulmates. We're made for each other. We're perfect for each other. So that's number one, the love bomb kind of lie. Number one. Number two is the future fake kind of lie. So the future fake kind of lie is it's never going to happen again. So this is when they've been caught in a lie. They want to deflect. They want to project. They don't want you to be dwelling on their bad behavior, their past behavior. So they want a future fake. They want you to not look at whatever they've done. They want you to look to the future. So it's kind of a love bomb, but you've already been in the relationship. So they just don't want you to be looking at whatever it is that they've done. They just want you to just move on to whatever it is. They have no intention on keeping their promise at all, but they just want you to not think about whatever they've done in the past. So they'll say whatever they need to get you to not think about the past. It's kind of, love bomb 2.0. All right. The future fake is love bomb 2.0. So it's never going to happen again. You'll never see it again. let's just move on, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's the next kind of lie that all narcissists tell. The next one is, you can trust me. I mean, they'll act like they're the most trustworthy people on the planet. I'm a Boy Scout. I'm a Girl Scout. I actually heard that those exact words come out of my former business partner's mouth. 100% those words. All right. That's number 3. Number 4 is the blame game. It's all your fault. It's all their fault. Someone else's fault. It's always someone else's fault. This is the project and deflect. They can never take responsibility for any of their own actions. It's never anyone else's fault. Somehow they seem to think that if they shift the blame, that they're not, people won't see that it's their fault. I don't know. Number 5 is the gaslighting. The gaslighting, you're too sensitive, or I never said that. I definitely saw that in the business relationship that I was in. We talked about that. Don't you remember? That sort of thing. That's the next kind of lie that all narcissists tell, is the gaslighting lie. The next kind of lie that you hear all narcissists tell is the no one else thinks that, or everyone else thinks that, the kind of lie that they try to do to try to isolate you from everyone else to make you feel really, really bad. If you want to know more about this kind of lie, go check out my video on the narcissist's favorite catchphrases. Definitely a whole lot more in that particular video. And you'll get to hear more about that sort of thing. And if you agree with me so far, if this sounds super familiar, give me an amen in the comments below, because this is sounding really familiar so far, right? The next one is the I'll change, I'm different now. You've heard that one before too. Don't fall for it. Definitely not true. Narcissists really can't change. They don't really have the ability to change. I mean, some do. It's pretty rare. So I wouldn't sit around and hold out hope that that can definitely happen, because it's probably not going to happen. So that's number 7, is the big lie. Narcissists really can't change. The next one, the last one, is usually about their exes. The ex was obsessed with me, or their ex was super crazy. There's usually some kind of lie around their exes. I would be really, really careful when they're saying things about their exes, either that they were obsessed with them, or that they're super crazy in some way. Maybe some kind of red flag around that. Maybe they actually were crazy or obsessed with them, but maybe not. So I don't know. I'm wondering what you guys think about this list so far. If you agree with me, or if there's any other, lies that you guys have seen. I'm sure that there's so many more, but this is how we catch them in these lies, right? This is how we use this to create leverage, by the way. Let's jump into it. 6 top lies all narcissists want you to believe. They think you're buying this stuff, right? They think you're buying it because they're so charming and they're so charismatic, and they come on with their love bombing, and they come on with their thing, and they've got their lines and their stealth and their manipulation. They think that you're buying this stuff right from the beginning. We do. We do. I fell for it too. I did too. You know why? Because they're that good. They start grooming, they start figuring this stuff out at an early age. How that book, The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, where he talks about it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something, to become really good at something. You know what 10,000 hours is? It's like 4 years. I mean, it's not like that long. Narcissists have been working on figuring out their craft since they were kids. This is survival for them. So they know how to read people. They're very good at this. But once you're onto them, you're onto them. So don't worry about that. I got you covered. And by the way, if you are negotiating with narcissists, you definitely want to grab my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet free 15-page ebook at crushmydeal.com. Make sure you grab that, crushmydeal.com. I've had many thousands of people win their entire negotiations just on that, crushmydeal.com. Go grab that. So, number one top lie that all narcissists want you to believe: you can be vulnerable with me. You can share all your inner secrets with me. Tell me all your innermost secrets. Yeah, you can share them all with me. And guess what? Guess when you're going to hear them again? When they want to hurt you, you will be hearing them absolutely again. They're going to shift it all around. They're going to use them against you in court. They're going to use them against you in negotiations. They're going to tell whoever they want. They're going to throw them back in your face. They're going to say, you can't even do this. You can't even do that. You're so weak. You're this, you're that. Oh, 100%. I mean, because they have no conscience. That's the problem with you. You can be vulnerable with me. It's so sick and sad. That's what they'll do. Other people are like, I would never. I mean, I know I would never use somebody's most awful things against them. It wouldn't even occur to me. It would actually make me nauseous to even think about that, but they would do it. You don't even think about it. They do. I've seen it all the time in court. Oh my gosh. I've seen malignant narcissists turn around and actually file false pleadings against people, accuse people of being child molesters if they haven't been, accuse people of being wife beaters, child beaters, all sorts of things. They don't care sometimes, depending on the level of narcissism. They don't care. You can be vulnerable with me. That's one of the lies that narcissists will tell you that they want you to believe. Number two, you can count on me. Oh, yeah, sure. Narcissists hate you needing them. That's like the last thing they want is for you to like actually want to count on them. They don't want to have to be there for you. They don't want you to like be sick around them. They don't want you to need them in any way, shape, or form, because when you go back for some withdrawals on your deposits, you just doing things for them is just payment for being in their space. If you want anything back in return, then the payment is high. It may be like 1,000-fold for the most minuscule scrap. And then you'll hear about it for years on end that they actually did something for you. I mean, please. Yeah, you can count on me. Number three, everything. One of the lies that they tell, we're going through the lies that all narcissists want you to believe. They want you to believe that everything in their life is your fault or your problem. All their problems or all the things that go wrong, all the failures, everything that bad that ever happened in the house or at the office or wherever it is that you have them in your environment or whatever, is your fault. Everything is your fault. That's number three. They project and deflect. They lie and deny. That is the number one agenda. Project and deflect, lie and deny. The four top agendas, depending on how you want to look at that. But it's just not them. And if you've seen any of these things so far, give me a totally in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think. Give me a totally in the comments if you guys have seen any of these things so far. Number four of the top lies all narcissists want you to believe is, I will change, or I have changed. You're going to see everything is different. You know, this is the big old future fake. This is whether you're dealing with them at work or in a marriage or a relationship. You catch them in a situation or, you know, something happens and you go to marriage counseling. then everything is going to be different now, that sort of thing. I've changed. I will change. Everything is different. I feel like it's almost like they're holding their breath, holding on tight for a period of time, because it's like, how long do I have to engage in this charade until I can go back to being my normal self and let out my breath? And then once they do, hell hath no fury, because they go right back to being the way they used to be, and then worse, because sometimes they want to make you pay. They're angry, resentful, and upset that you made them do these things that they didn't want to do in the first place. It's not even worth the I've changed, I will change little phase a lot of the time. So that's number 4. Number 5 lie all narcissists tell, they want you to believe, is I would never lie. I would never lie. I cannot tell a lie. I'm the most truthful person you would ever meet. I have so much integrity. I would never lie. I tell the truth all the time. This is the person who tells the most lies of all people. Constantly are catching them in lies. And, the truth bears out. It bears out very quickly. You can tell if a person is a person of their word by how they behave, how they conduct themselves. Are they following through with what they say they're going to do? How does that happen? Did they say they were going to do something and then actually go through with it? You'll see, right? So that's number 5. And most of the time they don't. And that's when that becomes your leverage, by the way. That's a big piece of your leverage, which is a good thing. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, they lied and I hated that and they got away with it. How are they getting away with this? But they don't get away with it because becomes your leverage. Every time I would see a narcissist lying, I'd be thinking, thank you. I get to use this against you now. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6, no one loves you like I do. No one loves you like I do. This is such a huge lie. And they do this a lot of times to isolate you from family, to isolate you from friends. They don't want you to have other people in their lives. So they're jealous. They get upset if you spend time with other people. They become resentful a lot of times, raging if you spend time with other people. Sometimes they even have tantrums if you spend time with other people, and it can be quite upsetting. Sometimes you even have to make choices. Now, if you're dealing with a narcissist, which you obviously must be, or you wouldn't be here watching these videos, then you're dealing with a liar, because they are one and the same. Narcissists are liars. If you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with a liar. That's just one of those things that can't be pulled out of their personality. They just feel like they have to lie all the time to survive. Because remember, just to give you a little primer on narcissism, a little Narcissism 101, narcissists have no inner sense of value. They have to get all their value from the external. And so they get that in the form of supply, which is their lifeblood, their food source. And supply can be money and prestige and compliments, but supply is also controlling and devaluing people and gaslighting people and things like that. But they feel like they have to manipulate all the time. They're master manipulators, but the reason why they're master manipulators is because something happened with them when they were children and they were traumatized in some way, and they drew this conclusion that in order for them to survive in the world, they have to manipulate the world. They just don't believe that they can just get something by just asking for it, by just being normal, by just being reasonable the way we all
the rest of the world acts. So they feel like they have to grasp onto whatever they can to in the world, and they feel like they have to manipulate that. And so a big part of that is lying. And they'll lie about all sorts of things, which is the kind of crazy thing, because they'll even lie about things that are readily verifiable, that down the road it's going to be pretty obvious that they've lied. And so it's pretty easy to catch them in a lie. So let's talk about the kinds of things that narcissists lie about. So one of the things that they'll lie about is they'll say, I promise that I'll take care of this. I promise that I'll do this. I promise that I'll be faithful to you. I promise that I will show up on time. I promise, I promise, I promise. And then they don't end up doing what they say they're going to do, or they don't show up and then they lie about what they were doing instead, or they try to get out of it in some way and they feel like they have to lie about it. So that's number one. They say, I promise. The second type of lie that they'll tell you is, it's not my fault. So they'll say, yeah, that happened, but it wasn't my fault, and here's why. So you'll hear that kind of lie all the time as well. The third type of lie that you'll hear is, don't worry. And, they're supposed to make you feel better because they say, don't worry, they're on top of it, they'll take care of it, whatever, and then they don't end up doing it. That's another type of lie that you'll hear. Another way that they lie is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a huge biggie for narcissists. And if you want to know more about gaslighting, check out my video on gaslighting techniques. And we will definitely drop a link to that below as well. But gaslighting is, in short, just a way of making you think that you're crazy. So they'll say, oh, we talked about that. Don't you remember? You agreed. Or, oh, that's not how that went. Or, oh, no, this is how that went. Don't you remember? And, they just are saying things to you that are just not true to manipulate your thought process so that you start to think that you're paranoid or that the problem is with you. So gaslighting is another big form of lying that they engage in. What happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie? If you confront them, what are they going to do? Deny, deflect, devalue, and dismiss. Those are the 4 Ds, and we're going to go through each one of those. So, deny. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. That didn't happen that way. Nope. Nope. Denied. Okay, so that one's pretty easy to understand. They deny it. Number 2 is deflect. Oh, it was you. Or it was this person, or it was some other reason that it happened that way. It was because this happened. It was because I couldn't get there on time. It was because this person dropped the ball. It was because whatever. They're deflecting it onto someone else. It wasn't their responsibility. Somebody else had the problem, or someone or something else was the problem. Number 3 is devalue. Now it's your fault. You were the problem. You're the one. You caused it. It's because of your mistakes. It's because you were too difficult. It was because you weren't good enough. It was because you said something wrong. It was because you did something wrong. It's because you didn't do something right. It's because you did do something that you weren't supposed to do. Whatever. They're going to devalue you. It was your problem or something that you did that was wrong. And if you want to know more about devaluing, you should check out my video on narcissistic devaluing, because it's actually one of the stages in a narcissistic relationship: love bombing, devaluing, and discarding. So devaluing is a huge part of a narcissistic relationship. And number 4 is dismiss. They'll just dismiss it. Oh, it didn't really matter. Oh, can't we just move on? Oh, let's just not even think about it anymore. Let's just forget about it. So it's just like swept under the rug, and it's just dismissed. So even if it was something super hurtful to you, your feelings aren't going to be acknowledged. They're not going to apologize to you. They're just going to say, oh, too bad. and keep going. If this all sounds familiar, give me a true that in the comments. So just remember, if you catch a narcissist in a lie, the last thing that you're going to get is, oh, you're right, I shouldn't have said that, or you're right, I wasn't truthful, or I apologize, I'm sure I hurt your feelings, I'm sure that that was awful for you. You know, those kinds of responses are not going to happen. You're not going to be acknowledged for, you know, whatever they put you through. It's going to be some version of devalue, deflect, dismiss, or deny. You know, it's going to be one of those four things. It's not going to have anything to do with them. And the reason why is because they can't have it take away their sense of self. You know, they have so little sense of self that any amount of taking responsibility for their actions to them is almost like dying inside. It's like survival. So you're not going to see them take responsibility for those lies. They're just going to figure out some way that it's not going to get pinned onto them.
It's no secret that narcissists are pathological liars and that they're gaslighting all the time. And why do they do that? Because they have no sense of self. They don't feel any internal sense of value. So they have to suck all their value from the people and environment around them. And they do that by pathologically lying and doing things that they need to do in order to control people. And, you know, they have all kinds of favorite control tactics and manipulation tactics. And if you want to know what their favorite manipulation and punishment tactics are, check out my video on the narcissist's favorite manipulation and punishment tactics. But there are many, too many to really encompass all in one video, which is why I have an entire channel devoted to this particular topic, which also is devoted to help give you step-by-step guidance on how to get out of these relationships. I've seen it so much in my law practice. I've had to deal with them in my personal life. You know, they get narcissistic supply by anything that feeds their ego, which, you know, could be anything that feeds anybody's ego, like compliments and respect and things like that. But most often where they get their supply is by the things that they do, by lying, manipulating, intimidating, making people feel afraid, gaslighting, smear campaigns, all of those things that they do. And lying is one of the things that they do because they don't want you to see what you think you're seeing, which is that this person is a liar, that this person is not who they say they are. So it's this constant game of smoke and mirrors to try to get you to not see what they don't want you to see, which is that inside they're a scared little creature that has no sense of self, that you are actually the stronger one. You are actually the one that has more power, that has more value from their perspective. I mean, all human beings have value, inherent value, but they don't feel it. And so they don't want you to feel it either. They are extremely petty. And they live in a world of scarcity, not abundance. And so lying is a way of life for them. Now, honestly, they lie about things that they don't even need to lie about, which is kind of crazy to me. And they also lie about things that aren't very easily verifiable sometimes. And then they tell you that you're not seeing what you're seeing, which is what gaslighting is. There are certain types of lies that they specifically say to you throughout your relationship. So these are kind of like the most common. I'm sure that there's a lot of others, but these are the most common. So the first one is, ironically and paradoxically, no one is more truthful than me. You're going to never find anyone who's more truthful, more honest, has more integrity than me. I always tell the truth. I always tell it like I see it. And they say it with such confidence that you believe them, at least early on. My dad used to say, whatever you say it with authority and people will believe you. And narcissists have taken that to an extreme. So they say things, even though, you know, you see their lips moving and you know that you've seen a text message or you've had a situation where you know that they're lying. You know that they're lying. Even if you specifically say, here's an email where you said this, it's very clear that you're lying. They'll say, no, that's not true. That's not how it went. That's not what's happening, which is a form of gaslighting, by the way. But the first thing that they will say is, no one is more truthful than I am. The second thing that they say is some form of, I love you, I care about you, I'm here for you. And if you want to know more about what a narcissist means when they say, I love you, and what they don't mean when they say, I love you, check out my video on what does a narcissist mean when they say, I love you. When they are saying, I love you, I care about you, I'm here for you, it's not that that's what they actually feel, because true narcissists have no ability, no capacity to feel anything for anyone else. They just lack that synapse. It's like missing from their makeup, from their brain. It's just broken and it can't be fixed. They cannot truly love another person. They cannot truly care about another person. And they certainly don't want to be there for anybody else. They only want what they can get out of you. And so they will say these things sometimes to get you to do what they want you to do, or think what they want you to think, or get off of whatever it is that you're on them about, just to, you know, say what they need to say. Sometimes it's a form of future faking. And if you want to know more about future faking, you should definitely check out my video on that. But, you know, they don't really love you. They're not really there for you, and they don't care about you. And you can tell that because their actions speak louder than words. You know, try getting sick and expecting a narcissist to actually care about you and be there for you. I mean, if you're lucky, they just don't feel anything. Most of the time, what they really do is they resent you. They resent the fact that you might want care or attention or something from them, because that means that you're not paying attention to them. And there's not enough to go around in their world, you know, like they're very scarcity minded. So if you want something, that means they can't have it. The second thing is, I love you, I care about you, I'm there for you. The third one is, I'm sorry, or things will be different. And, you know, I call it narcissist faux apologies. And if you want to know more about, you know, what a faux apology is, check out my video on what a narcissist really is doing when they say, I'm sorry. But most of the time, narcissists really don't even say sorry. But if they do, it's definitely to manipulate you, to try to get something out of you. It might just be lip service, and because it's in front of somebody and they want the person, the third party, to see it. It may be just to shut you up. It may be kind of even more like a sarcastic apology. I'm sorry that I couldn't be better for you, or something like that. But they really don't mean it. There's never any real remorse for their actions. So when they say, I'm sorry, it's definitely a lie, unfortunately. And if you think that their lies are so sad and so pathetic, I want to see a so sad in the comments. Just drop that below. So sad. So the fourth lie that they often tell is, I promise. I promise I'll do better. I promise that I will be the most amazing spouse, husband, wife, business partner, mother, father, sister, brother, neighbor, whatever it is. Nobody is going to be better than me. I'm the best at whatever it is, so I promise that the way things are going to be are the most amazing things in the world. And again, this is a form of future faking, and it's basically a future that they know they're never going to make good on. They're never going to follow through with these promises. And they just want to say whatever they want to say just to get you to do what they want you to do at that moment, or feel the way they want you to feel right at that moment, which is that they're wonderful, you're the one who has the problem, or that, you know, however, whatever it is that you have a problem with them right now about, it's not going to be that way in the future. So just like, you know, get off of it. Let's just deflect it, deny it, move on. So I promise. That's the fourth lie that you often hear from a narcissist. And the last common lie that you often hear from a narcissist is, it's not my fault. I didn't do it. Or if I did, it was because somebody else had a problem. Somebody else didn't follow through on what they were supposed to do. It's your fault. You know, I could have done it except for you getting in my way. But for whatever reason, it's not their fault.
So let's talk about that narcissist's most dangerous lie. They lie about everything, right? Narcissists lie as a way of life. They lie about all kinds of stuff, including things that they don't need to lie about, which is kind of baffling to me. And they even lie about things that are readily verifiable, which is also kind of baffling to me. And if you want to know more about, specifically about narcissist lies, I would highly recommend that you check out my video called Narcissist's Most Common Lies. And I actually do have an accompanying podcast to that too. So for those of you who like to get your information in different kinds of mediums, I do have a podcast. It's on every single outlet where you can find podcasts, and it's called Negotiate Your Best Life. And you can check out that show on Narcissist's Most Common Lies there too. But going back to what the most dangerous lie is, it is not what you think. It's not like, what are they saying that's so dangerous? It's more how it lands for you. And that's why it's so dangerous. And that is the lie that you desperately want to believe. And the reason why that is so dangerous is because they are constantly packaging their lies in a way that you will believe, that you want to believe, that might be plausible, that seems real, that allows you to ignore those red flags that may be going up in your head. And if you want to know more about why people ignore narcissist red flags, I highly recommend you check out my video on that. Anyway, you will be getting these lies, and you're realizing something is off, and you see something, you know, maybe you see a text message come through that doesn't seem right, and you confront them on it. And they have some plausible explanation for it. Or it might not even be all that plausible. But you're just like, you know what? I want to believe this person. I want to believe that my whole life is not a lie. I want to believe that this person actually loves me. I want to believe that I'm not in business with a shark, with somebody who is awful. I mean, they don't seem terrible all the time. Sometimes they seem good. And so you end up processing something in a way that ends up, maybe they get away with their lie because you want to believe it so desperately. And that can happen in a number of different ways. So one of the ways that they package their lies so that you will believe it, which becomes dangerous for you, is something called future faking. And what happens there is that they say, yeah, you know what, this happened, but in the future, here's what life is going to look like. So if it's in business, I'm going to start participating. I'm going to generate all these sales. I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm taking the lead on this particular effort, whatever it is. And then they don't ever do it. And that's future faking. But in that moment, you really, really want to believe it. Same thing if it's in a romantic relationship. You know, you get that text message, or you see that thing happen, or they didn't show up for something, or they didn't do something they were supposed to. They didn't get you the birthday gift they were supposed to. They didn't take care of your kids the way they were supposed to, or blew off your mother, or whatever it is. And you call them out on it, and there you go having a conversation, which is, you know, that's never going to happen again. Let's forget about the past. Let's just think about the future. Let's just take it from here forward, because from now on, you are going to feel appreciated. You will get everything you deserve. You are the best at everything. And whatever comes out of their mouth that they have to say in that moment, for you to believe them. And, you know, for a variety of reasons, sometimes you just want to believe them. So you do. And so more time goes by. And now you're investing more of your life and more of your time and more of your energy into this person. And the more you invest, the more you want it to work, the more you want to believe the lies. And if you just think that they are such liars, give me a liars in the comments. Okay, so the next reason why the way they package their lies is through gaslighting. And gaslighting is something that they use to try to make you think that you're crazy. And if you want to know more about gaslighting, check out my video on narcissists' favorite gaslighting techniques. But they use gaslighting to try to make you think that you're crazy. So, and I've mentioned this before, but I haven't mentioned it in a while, so I'll mention it again for those of you who don't know. It actually comes from this old movie called Gaslight, and I think it was even a play before that, and then it became a movie, and it was like from the 30s or 40s, where the husband was trying to make the wife think that she was crazy. So he would blow out these gas lights throughout the house, and she would say, "Wasn't that just lit?" And he would say, "No, it wasn't." And she would then, you know, he was hoping that she would lose her mind. And that's what happens with narcissists. They start to gaslight you. They start to say things that are different than what was said before, or to try to make you believe that something happened that didn't happen, or something did happen that didn't happen, you know, and they just rewrite reality. So, you know, I had a client one time who the ex-wife, the narcissistic ex-wife, threatened to call the authorities on him if he picked up the child at a certain time or something, a time that he was entitled to pick up the child. But she said, "If you do, I'm calling the authorities." So he emails her back and says, "You know, I really don't appreciate you threatening to call the cops on me, and this is exactly why I want this, this, and this done. And I want you to sign this agreement." Well, now she doesn't want to sign this agreement. She doesn't want to do these other things that he wants her to do. So she turns around to try to use it against him in a way and say, "Hey, I never said I was going to call the cops. I said I was going to call the authorities," which is something different. And you know darn well that when she said, "I'm calling the authorities," she meant the cops. But there's a perfect opportunity for her, or a perfect example of gaslighting. So now she's saying, "That's not what I meant." And so, you know, he's supposed to go, "Oh, what did you mean? I wasn't that? Okay." And, you know, and then now you're having a conversation about that. A perfect example of gaslighting. But there's a type of lie. Gaslighting is a type of lie that you might want to believe, where they're saying now something different than what they said before, but you want to believe it because you don't want to believe that you are so wrong. I mean, a lot of times we want to believe it because we don't want to have to admit that we've been in a relationship with someone who is so horrible to us, who's so untrustworthy, who's so dishonest. We don't want to have to believe that ourselves. We don't want to have to think, oh my gosh, how could I have been so stupid or whatever? But just remember that narcissists are master manipulators. They're very good at reading people. They're very good at figuring out what it is that you want in the beginning. So you can't beat yourself up over that. So that's the most dangerous lie. The most dangerous lie is the one that you want to believe. And when you were getting ready to negotiate with a narcissist in any situation, business or personal or divorce or whatever, there is also an example of a dangerous lie, because you might want to believe that they sincerely want to negotiate with you, that they sincerely want to settle the case, that they sincerely want to make it right and have it be something that's amicable, when they don't actually. When they are actually behind your back, stabbing your back, doing things to you, and then they say they're not. You want to believe that. And that's where it can be very, very dangerous as well.
Okay, so let's talk about the 6 things that narcissists say to try to get you back. So they do often, even when you're finally going no contact and you're finally moving on and you're finally walking forward and your eyes are staying forward, they're going to try to get you back. So, and sometimes it's called hoovering, and sometimes it's just them trying to, get you back. It really doesn't matter what the terminology is. It's them trying to get you back into their web. It's them trying to get that source of supply back that they had. They want to keep as many forms of supply as they possibly can. So even if they're moving on to another form of supply, they still want to keep the one that they had in you. So one of the things that they say to try to get you back is they play on your heartstrings. So they'll say, I'm nothing without you. And they love to say things like that when they're hoovering or even love bombing or whatever, because it really, really plays on your heartstrings, like, oh, they really finally appreciate me. He or she really finally is coming to the light. They're seeing the value. They're seeing all the things I did for them. And this is like one of the most wicked and evil things that they say, honestly, because they don't think that. I mean, in some ways they do. It's kind of a paradox with narcissists, because they are extremely controlling, but they're also very codependent, and they do need you. And so in some ways, maybe they do feel like they're nothing without you. But that's one of the things that they say is, I'm nothing without you. It's really just to play on your heartstrings and to get you back into their web of control. So number 2 is I've changed, and they want you to feel like they have seen the light. There's been this epiphany that now they see how they've treated you, and they're never going to ever do that again. And so, because they're a new person, it's the new version of them. This is the new person who is going to be doing things for you, who's going to see your value, who's going to do all the things that you've been asking them to do in the first place. So that, it's the new version of them. They've changed. So that's number 2. Number 3 is, I'll do anything you want me to. So, now's the time that they're finally going to go to therapy, if that's what you wanted them to do. Now's the time that they're going to go and be with your family, if that's what you wanted them to do. If it's a business situation, now they're going to start taking up the slack and taking care of the things that they were supposed to be doing in the first place and weren't. It's almost like, okay, I'll do anything to keep you. And they're really great at future faking, which is another video that I have, which you might want to check out. And they're also big fat liars. You know that they're manipulative and they're liars. They lie about everything, even things they don't even need to lie about, even things that are readily verifiable. So you can't believe what's coming out of their mouth. And if you do know that they're big fat liars, give me a liars in the comments right now so that you will remember that that's what they are. Okay, so number 4 is things will be different. You know, this is kind of part of the whole future faking thing too. You know, I've changed, I'll do anything you want me to. Things will be different going forward. It's not going to look like it was. You will see, I will be the person. So it's all part of that future faking. So that's something else that they say. And the next one, number 5, is I just want to be friends. I mean, why can't we just be friends? And that is not what they want. What they want is what they want. So they want you to be a full on source of supply, and they want to be able to control you. And if you just say, okay, we can be friends, that's like their opening to go, see, they are still a good source of supply. They do still want to be with me. There's that opening, that door. And once that happens, you know they have no boundaries. So they're going to keep sliding in. I think of it as like the camel under the tent. There's a great story about the camel nose under the tent, which I think it is like perfect for narcissists. At least this was my experience. That is that there's the story about this guy who's out in the desert and he's Bedouin Sheik or whatever he is. And he is, you know, with his camel and he stops for the night. And he's like in the tent and the camel sticks his nose under the tent. And he's like, oh, please, sir, it's so cold out here. And, you know, can I just have my nose under the tent? I won't be a bother. You won't even barely notice me. So I'm just going to have my nose under the tent. And the guy goes, okay, you know, so then the next thing is the camel puts his entire head under the tent. Oh, come on, you know, can I just have my head? You know, you have so much room in here. I'm not taking up any space. I'll just, you know, put my nose under the head under the tent. And as you can imagine how the story goes, like the camel ends up all the way in the tent. Camel's basically in his bed. He can't get him out. And kind of like that, you know. So even if they say, oh, I just want to be friends, it's sort of like that nose under the tent to like edge their way back into making you miserable. So that's number 5. So be aware of that one. And the last one is any meaningless open door to conversation, just like a DM in your inbox and your Instagram all of a sudden, hey, or something like that, or how are you, or whatever. It's like maybe even nothing. Maybe it's just, I like donuts or something like that. They're just, you know, a random, meaningless kind of chat or text or something will just appear either on your phone or somewhere. And you are like, oh, what is this? You know, and it's just like, it's like a little like hook. It's like they're fishing. They just sent the hook out and they see if you're going to bite on it. And just to get you to respond. They're testing you. They're testing the waters. They're testing to see if there's still a source of supply out there for them in you. So don't take the bait. Just ignore, delete, block, whatever you have to do, because, you know, once they're back in, the madness is back. So don't go there. Don't take the bait.